Well, hello. Do you struggle with planning a Charlotte Mason homeschool? Maybe you don't even know where to get started, or perhaps you're just really struggling to make your plans work for your family and the uniqueness that your family brings to homeschool. If that's the case, I encourage you to stay with me with today's episode of the Charlotte Mason Mastery Show. I'm Dollie Freeman. I am the authority on Charlotte Mason and self education. So I look forward to answering pre submitted questions about planning. So if that is something that you're interested in, I encourage you to stick with me. I have 6 pre-submitted questions that I'll be answering during this episode, and I think you will probably find that at some point in your homeschooling journey, if not right now, these questions will be something that you yourself will come across at some point in your own journey. So let's get started with today's episode by letting you know these are 3 questions that Charlotte Mason says that if you take time and energy to answer as a homeschooling mother, you can actually eliminate 3/4 of lost time and wasted effort. I'm going to say that again because before I tell you what these questions are, I want you to understand how important they are. Charlotte Mason tells a homeschooling mother that if she can answer these 3 queries or questions, that she can literally eliminate 3/4 of lost time and wasted effort. Now, if that sounds like something that's intriguing to you, then let me tell you what these 3 questions are. These 3 questions are going to be your compass, so to speak, in all of your homeschooling plans decisions. And when you have answered these 3 questions for yourself, you will find that the questions I'm about to answer are going to get much easier. So let's go through these 3 questions. Number one, Charlotte Mason says a homeschooling mother should ask herself, why should children learn at all? Why should they learn at all? Why is it that we're requiring learning from our children? If you can answer that question, you'll be a little bit ahead of the game. The second question is, what should they learn? When we recognize that we are being very specific and intentional about what it is our children should learn, we're going to be really quick at identifying the things that are just wasting time, that are not necessary, and get to the core of our educational philosophies and what it is that we want to make sure our children have as they move forward. The third question is, how should they learn? If you can answer how they should learn, you're going to be well advanced in being able to not only plan your homeschooling, but eliminate the 3/4 of time lost and energy wasted. So let's get started with the pre submitted questions. I'm so excited about these because these are pretty good ones. I was really impressed with the type of questions we got submitted. So, number one, how much time does it take to plan a year of homeschool lessons? Now, if this is the first time you've ever really heard me talk about planning, I teach a planning framework that has you constructing a grade notebook for each of your children from kindergarten through high school. In that, I encourage and inspire and equip mothers to be able to plan out an entire homeschool year. Charlotte Mason tells us that we should not leave education to chance. The ideas that we supply to our children should be wholesome, they should be fruitful, and more importantly, they should be actually forming the future character and conduct of our children. And when we recognize the weight of that, we must first get very intentional about it. And just like when you plant a garden, you really need to plan out where it's all going to fit, what you're going to put in, and why you're putting those in place because they're going to help you with future recipes, right? So, this is why I really encourage mothers to plan out an entire homeschool year because we get busy when homeschool starts. In summer, we're a little more relaxed and we forget just how routine our homeschool should be throughout the year. I have done full years, I have done by the seat of my pants, I have done a quarter at a time, I've done a week at a time, I've done it all. But what I want you to know is that my most productive years and the most progression that I've seen in our children, both in academics academics, spiritual, moral, and physical education comes when I am intentionally planning out an entire year. Now, there's some questions that I'm going to get to in a minute about when that doesn't go quite as planned. But the question was, how much time does it take to plan a homeschool year or homeschool lessons for a full year? The answer to that is it depends on number one, your focus to it, your skills that you bring into it, and how much you already have answered the questions. Why should they learn it all? What should they learn? And how should they learn? If you can answer those questions and you are focused when you come into your planning session and you have some experience behind you, meaning that it's not your first time planning your homeschool year, you will be surprised with a little bit of equipment, what I teach in the planning framework and the grade notebook, you will be surprised to see how quickly you can plan. Now, when I first started to plan homeschooling, Charlotte Mason, it took me an entire summer to plan just one child, and I am talking nonstop planning. That's all I could think of. I took my books to the pool, the kids swam, I was planning, I went home at night, during nap time I was planning. I mean, it was never ending. Now, I was also in the process of figuring out what this philosophy looked like today and how to appease homeschool laws, how to ensure my children are getting what they need to get, and to progress every year. Now, the good news is, with what I developed over the years, I'm able to plan an entire elementary year in about 4 hours after I have already answered the questions of why should they learn it all, what should they learn, and how should they learn it. When I have answered those three questions, I'm able to sit down and plan out that year in 4 hours. So, if you have not answered this question, you're going to find yourself really wasting a lot of time and effort, and you're going to lose a lot of time in there. I love Abraham Lincoln's quote that says, "Give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I'll take 4 hours sharpening my axe and 2 hours to cut it down." The reason is that effort we put forth at the beginning in those predetermined decisions going to help the planning process. That's what those three questions will do for you. So, if this is your first year, I would encourage you to expect at least a week on one child, at least. If you are really unsure, confused about this method of education, it could take a month or more. However, if you are using the grade notebook and the planning framework that I offer, you will be encouraged to know that you can get through that pretty quick. And the reason is I tell you exactly what Charlotte Mason says why children should learn. I tell you about what they should learn, and I tell you how they should learn it, and I add an extra of how long it should take them to learn it. So I'm real excited about that. I see my internet is going down. Hopefully, we all stay on pretty well on this one. I am in Round Rock, Texas, waiting to go to the Teaching Them Diligently conference that starts up tomorrow. And so hopefully this Wi-Fi pans out for me. All right, so the second question we're going to get to today is a really big one. Really quick because I'm not sure if I am still live. If you're watching me, can you just post and say I'm still live? I'm checking really quick. Perfect. I'm still live. All right. Woo. I'm going to repeat this question. It's a long one. How do you create a plan for your kids' schoolwork that has all the stuff that they need to accomplish in the time schedule it has to be done in, but still have the flexibility that if a week or month goes crazy, you are not doing lots of makeup lessons or cramming to stay on schedule? This is a reality that at some point or another, you as a homeschooling family will have to get you into. So you want to know, number one, it's going to happen to you. Number two, it may happen more than you like. And number three, you cannot control these things. what I want you to know is the best laid out plans help you stay on track. So when you have a plan in place, you'll be able to know where to pick up when things happen, when things go a little awry. What I love about Charlotte Mason, thank you, Anna. Uh, you just came back. I heard nothing after question 2. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. So, question number 2, how do you create a plan for your kids' schoolwork that has all the stuff that they need to accomplish in the time schedule it has to be done in, but still have the flexibility that if a week or month goes crazy, you're not doing lots of makeup lessons or cramming to stay on schedule. So what I want you to encourage is this will happen to you at some point or another in your homeschool. You cannot control it. You cannot stop it. It's part of life. This is why I encourage you to have that laid out plan, that plan to know where you're going to be able to pick up from. This plan that says this is what we should learn, already knowing why you should learn it and how you should learn it, already put in place. I teach my students to have what I call a plan B, a substitute, when mom is not capable of teaching or kids are not capable of learning those regular lessons, meaning that you might have a sickness going through your home that lasts a couple weeks or months. It's really hard to concentrate during that time. Having a backup plan that still is aligning with your plans, but not 100% connected to what you planned out. It will help you to still, number one, feel the sense of accomplishment that is required for progress. It'll help the thoughts that take information and convert to knowledge, and it will help you to feel like you're still having spontaneous living that results in learning. So I want you to recognize it will happen regardless of where you are in your life. At some point, you will experience this. Um, what I also want to say is that the beauty of Charlotte Mason, if you implement it correctly, the way she has designed it to be, your children should be um, into self education by fourth grade if they're a great reader and writer, and by sixth grade if they've struggled with reading or writing. Those are your goals between fourth and sixth grade to get your children self educating, meaning that if mom's life goes a little awry, children can still be learning. What that means is when my mom had a heart attack in 2012, I packed up my kids. We went and lived with my mom for 3 weeks to help my parents. My kids knew exactly what they needed to do because I had that laid out plan for them and they were able to go through it. It wasn't emotional because we didn't lose my mom. Now, back up just a few months ago, 5 months ago, we lost my daddy. 6 months ago, we lost my sister. Talk about emotions. It was just at the beginning of the start of a new year. I had my laid out plans, but neither my son nor myself had the emotional capacity to work on the plans we had laid out. We both would try, we would both cry. I mean, it was really hard. Now, he was nearly self educated. We had the writing to perfect a little better to get his confidence there so that he would write better. Thankfully, we're getting there. But he just started his sixth grade this year, and it started out very bumpy for us. So, recognizing that we had some flexibility, that I had plan B set in place, that we still were able to do that and feel somewhat sense of accomplishment. But when we came out of that fog of grief, I was able to pick up our plans and keep going. He was able to still keep working on his assignments, even though there were some things that we just didn't get done. Um, and it's just part of forgiving and having grace in your homeschooling. So, what you want to do is have a plan B to answer your question. Plan B helps you if you're just struggling during a short period of time. And your goal is always to get back to the original plans that you placed because you've answered those intentionally with those 3 questions. And your goal is never to stay off it, but to get back to it. Here we are almost at the end of the school year, and Manoa is almost completed with his things. We were able to come back to it. I adjusted a few assignments, but we were able to still get there. So I want you to recognize it's always, that's that little bump in the road, detour in life that's going to help you come back into it. Okay. So question number 3, What do you do when a child goes through your entire homeschool plan for a year in just a week? This person who submitted this said, seriously, I'm not joking. So, number one, you need to, and the reason for that is he's a ferocious reader. So, what you have to recognize is homeschool plans have a place, and your child needs to have free reading, which is not your homeschool plans. Your homeschool plans have a purpose. If your child is getting through their entire lessons, it means they're only reading. Charlotte Mason says there's two types of people, readers and thinkers, and those who are not. So, although your child is reading, they're not converting that information into knowledge that will be retained long term. So, what your child wants to do is read for enjoyment. You should never, ever, 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 ever use your homeschool plans to empower your child for a love of reading. You should empower your child with a love of reading with a free list of reading that they can read as fast as they desire to be. And you should keep that list moving quickly, or adding to it as often as possible with wholesome books. A child determines if it's living or not, meaning a child will put down a book that is not living to them, that does not encourage and excite their mind. So, separate. That's what I'm going to tell you. Separate your plans from what your child is able to do on their own. Now, there are some children who will go through their math because they're gifted in math. If they're gifted in math, then I would encourage you to find a more in-depth math program and help them to go through that a little more diligently, and to see where you can challenge them. But remember, reading is not all that Charlotte Mason suggests of us. She suggested narration. Narration is that tool in which we turn information and convert it into knowledge. So if a child is just consuming through reading, they're really not getting the education. And that stems to how should they learn? And so just letting them read is not truly living up to Charlotte Mason. So divide it. They can only do their homeschool plans during homeschool time, and they can use a free reading resource list when they want to continue to read. I hope that helps you. Okay, number 4. Should I make adjustments to my lesson plans to accommodate our children's interest? Well, if you've ever heard me teach before, you know that I speak about how your interest is key to getting your children to convert information into knowledge. Now, interest can be given in two ways: a child, vital sparks of interest, as well as those that are influenced interest. What I want you to recognize is that your lesson plans are those things in which what they should learn. Children do not always know what is best for them to learn. So you should never adjust your lesson plans that are based on those 3 questions. Why should the children learn it all? What should they learn? And how should they learn it? You should never adjust those plans to accommodate a child's interest. This is where the free learning activities come in the afternoon. Yes, go to a library, get your child as many books that their heart's desires on a topic that they want to learn more about, and let them learn in their afternoon time. This is how all of my children are able to really create those dominant ideas through their afternoons. And so I really encourage you to not to make adjustments in your lesson plans to accommodate interests that are happening throughout the year. But you should consider those interests at the beginning of the year when you're laying out your annual plans for your children, guided by what they should learn. Dominant ideas will, in fact, lay out their career and what they will do when they take their place in society. So I want you to be very particular about your plans have a purpose. Their interest has a reason as well and a purpose, but it's not during their lesson plan time. This is free time. All right, question number 5. I can't plan a full homeschool year because when I do, we seem to go at a snail's pace, and I'm constantly making adjustments that feels like a big waste of my time. What would you suggest that I do differently? When I hear my students going through this and those that I've coached in the past, I see that they're doing one major issue, and that is their lessons are too long. They are not following the Charlotte Mason philosophy of short lessons. Can you let me just know if you're seeing me okay? I am not liking what it looks like here on this internet. This is not fun. So, what I want you to recognize is if you're going at a snail's pace based on your plan, chances are your lessons are too long, meaning either what you have assigned is too much, your children's attention span is too small, and your lesson length is too long. So, I want you to make those adjustments, and what you will find is that you will actually be making more progress in shorter lessons because you're meeting the attention span where it is, and the interest is there because now the length is shorter. And so you're really working with the child's attention span. When you're going at a snail's pace, it's usually because you're fighting your child's attention. So plan accordingly. Missed attention. So, Anna, I see you say it seems good, but it just did this blackout. So, hopefully, we're fine. I'm going to find a remedy for this on the road because this is not going to work well. All right, number three or number six. This is the last question I'm covering today. Let's hope that this stays for me. I can't wrap my head around how to plan so many subjects like Charlotte Mason suggests. Are there any subjects that you would just go by the seat of your pants just for the sake of fitting it in? So, this question says to me a couple things. Number one, you are more than aware that Charlotte Mason or suggests 13 to 21 subjects based on your child's age and skill. So when you recognize 13 to 21 subjects and you're familiar with exactly what those subjects are, you can get very overwhelmed by them and trying to figure out how to fit them all in. This is what happened to me all those many years ago when I got into planning overwhelm. What I ended up doing is taking a step back and I let one quote guide me about Charlotte Mason says our daily attention of making a daily attention on a subject or a topic to make sure that we are supplying daily ideas. And when we recognize that by supplying daily ideas, we're focusing on a subject matter and in making it to the point where it earns eager attention, that we're giving them that time to go through their narration in order for the information to be converted into knowledge, what will happen is you will find that with these focus days, as I teach in the planning framework and inside the grade notebook, is that you will find that the Charlotte Mason subjects fit perfectly in a 5 um, and so what you might need to do is learn what I teach in order to simplify the process in which you're doing your planning of the subjects and recognize that it's simpler than we're making it out to be. And Charlotte Mason even made it simpler. And the key is this. I want you to recognize that as a child matures in their age and in their skills, there's going to be a requirement of more um, in depth, more thought process. And this is what I teach in the knowledge framework about how you have your why stage, your why phase, your debate stage, I'm saying stage, I mean phase, your why phase, your debate phase, and your philosophy phase. The thought process is still the same, converting information to knowledge, but the depth of thought changes, meaning that a child's brain will go into deeper aspects in order for these longer subjects to be played out. So I really want you to recognize that even though Charlotte Mason suggests 13 to 21 subjects based on your ages and skills of your children, focusing on those, supplying daily ideas in the form of 5 focused days, you will in fact fit it all in, and you will be able to deliver those subjects of Charlotte Mason by supplying daily ideas. Okay, so that wraps it up. I'm sorry it's so choppy. I am so sorry it's so choppy. This is a big topic, and the Wi-Fi just failed me. But needless to say, I am so excited. I failed to bring something in, so give me a second, pause, because this is real life happening here. I meant to bring something in here to show you, so stay tuned for a sec. Life is fun, isn't it? And I didn't bring one thing in. But what I want you to know is life is real. And there goes my stool. So I have been busy over the last several months pulling together a planning system that will make it easier for you. So the planning framework isn't quite ready, but it will be going up for sale, pre-sale very soon. So be watching for that. But what I am excited about is our new grade notebooks. I have it upside down, grade notebooks. So this is the Thinker. We have the Tracker and the Traveler. These are sturdy books over the, 18, 19 years of me buying binder books. It is so depressing how quickly they fall apart, and how the more personalized we make the books, the more ownership our children take of it. So I created these one-of-a-kind grade notebooks that are 3-ring binders, and they have the tabs already in here. And this one has education quotes from Charlotte Mason. And on the back of it, it has things that your child wants to learn this year. And this is the way that you can actually put into place the ideas. What should they learn? The interest of your child. And each subject has this with it, and they're tabs. These are designed with my planning framework that takes the 13 subjects to 21 subjects of Charlotte Mason into the focused. There are 12, the focus subjects. There are 12 tabs, the last one being dominant ideas. This is where you're able to collect the things that are personal to your child's interest that year, and help dig deeper, help them to be able to go deeper in that. For instance, Charlotte Mason says, what a child digs for, they will retain. And that's the key that I want to inspire with these grade notebooks. Now, this one, Tracker, is probably one of my favorite ones that I designed. And the reason is our children have always been naturalists. I have been a city girl turned naturalist. And so this one encouraged the children to get out and track. And they have beautiful landscapes and quotes from various sources that will inspire your children to track animals, to be observant in nature. And so these are influential tabs on all of the binder books to influence ideas in your children to become trackers, to become thinkers, to become travelers. And again, all the tabs have the same thing on the back and the same subjects, and the 12 tabs as well. They have matching bookmarks as well. I forgot to bring them in. And then here's the Traveler. This is perfect for your new your younger children who have yet to learn to read and may not have a desire to read. But this is Dr. Seuss. Reading can take you places you have never been before. And so this is something that you can easily take and show your children the power of books and how they can learn through it. So again, influential quotes throughout, beautiful and inspiring. And then the filling aspects are the planning forms. These are the planning packs. These are form 1, 1A. Let me put these in order. 1B, 2, 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6. So let me tell you a little bit about these. So they take you guided with guiding quotes all the way through how to plan your grade notebook for your various ages and skills. And so this one is for kindergarten. I'm going to actually show you the second, and the reason form 2, and the reason I'm going to show you this one is because in the years of me coaching Charlotte Mason homeschoolers, what I have found is that in every home there is at least one child that's behind in either reading or in writing. And so it gets really hard for a mom to figure out how to plan this way when she has dependent learners that she has to plan for. So what I found is in coaching all these years is that moms do not understand how to plan the individual subjects so that it converts information to knowledge. So I went on a venture, a mission to solve those problems. So here it is, your calendar year in advance so you can plan out your school year. And this is let me start here. This is your schedule. And this is where you get really particular about your time, when you're going to start, when you're going to end. You have your homeschooling schedule here. And as you can see, they're already hole punched to put right into the grade notebook. And these are your subjects. These subjects are what I love best. So for this particular form 2, these are the subjects that Charlotte Mason suggests form 2 to have. Now form 2 is for ages 9 to 12, occasionally over 12, and they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Now, what I have found, occasionally over 12 means they're behind in writing, hopefully not reading, but some are. And so this is going to help them become a little more independent. And while you're focusing on the skills, this gives you the 25 books where you can list them. So if you have an avid reader, these are not the books that they will read in their free time. Then it walks you through the guided quotes of what Charlotte Mason says a child at this age should be studying during this point or during this part. And I have the subjects that Charlotte Mason says, and this is the focus subject for the day. So the focus subject is Bible. These are her 2 subjects for this form that they should be doing at this time with this lesson and in this amount of time. So you have everything of why they should learn, what they should learn, and how they should learn it. And then I added the when they should learn it. So you have that throughout all the subjects, and they change based on the forms. So as a child gets older, their process of thinking goes deeper, and their actions of what they should be doing in different subjects change as they mature and their skills improve. So this is what you'll be seeing in that aspect. And then the empowering tool is the weekly. Yeah, the weekly. So this is a 36-week planner. And as you can see, we still have wonderful quotes from Charlotte Mason encouraging your children and helping them to be able to know what their focus subject is, their daily subjects, what they should be doing based on Charlotte Mason, their afternoon subjects. And there's a little slot there, and that slot can be for your dominant ideas for your children. What it is that they chose to do in their free time where you're watching their interest. So, this is guiding and assisting the mothers to be able to be equipped for their unique child while implementing the Charlotte Mason way with a complete planning system. I'm calling it the most comprehensive, one of a kind planning system for Charlotte Mason. And it's because there's nothing like it on the market. There is nothing. This is from 22 years of me reading her original series and putting it into practice with my children and trying, testing, and perfecting our grade notebook in our home and listening to my clients over the last 4 years of coaching them to see where it is they're still struggling, answering their questions, and putting it in a planning framework so that you can go from being brand new to the Charlotte Mason method, unsure how to plan, and having a successful year with your children while forming 4 habits: responsibility, accountability, self management, and self direction. So, this will help you penetrate the mind and heart of your children if you are diligent in giving them wholesome ideas that will form their future character and conduct. I'm so excited about getting this out. It'll go live tomorrow for those at the conference. I've yet to be able to decide when I'm going to be able to do all these things. But as you can see, my mission is to help you be able to successfully implement this method of education so that you can penetrate the mind and heart of your children so that they will be raised with capital knowledge, strong faith, noble character, wholesome conduct, and self education. All right. I don't have next week planned yet. So stay tuned and I'll keep you informed on the next date for the show, as well as when you can grab your own grade notebook. Until next time, thank you for joining me, and I hope I've answered your planning questions. All right. Until next time, bye for now.